I am Randy. I am Tunde. Bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. All right, all right, all right. We got things going on. Xmas. Aren't you Bengali, Arvin? Da-da-da-da. All right, everybody in. What's up? Dude, let's get to work, man. Hey, Merry ho 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 ho. It's a jolly, jolly Christmas. All right, I think we're in. Everybody's in. Yo, bros and non bros, my friends. Look, we got ourselves a nice little spot the market's going to open into. Today is a half day. I repeat, today's a half day. So we're going to, you're going to have to take it a little bit easy. A little bit easy. But we have a little gift, which is, the ramp back of large cap stocks, which is been led by old AVGO here and the comeback in NVIDIA. And so we got ourselves, a little bit of a Christmas Santa rally. Hey, Mark Beard, how you doing, sir? Got ourselves a little Christmas Santa rally that is going to be maybe it looks like has some legs going into the new year. And a lot of these stocks have been consolidating for a long time. They're definitely not out of the woods, but we're seeing a underlying bid in some of these semiconductor names and other technology names, and we're getting some gap ups and stuff in them. And so you saw a nice 5% move in AMD yesterday with the decent little trend in the morning before it leveled off. And this is very Christmas action, right? Push in the morning, sit around the rest of the day, let all the pikers sit there and try to bounce it while the move's been made. This is good stuff. I mean, dude, what else can you ask for except a little Christmas rally? So, and Nvidia is back in flavor, and I thought that was probably an important part too, lifting the QQQs up. On what should have been probably maybe a little bit more of a mute day in the market, came out and had some legs. And then you have this TSM here, which is just right at a breakout level too. And I think this is, dude, we've got like all sorts, right? All sorts of little doohickeys today that we can trade. So it is a half day. Now, we've got things we can do, though. And I think that's the most important thing. We got some things we can do here on some of these breakouts and stuff like that. So, what we want to be doing now is making sure that we got everything set up for a little fandazzle today. And let's go have some fun here. And I think, yeah, this is probably top of the list if it goes red to green. Maybe a pullback in AVGO. Like I said, since this thing is pulled back into the sub 220s, this is more of a swing trade setup. That's a big monster cock setup right there. When you get a big breakout like this in a pullback, if you're a swing trader and you're not in this, poo poo on you. You got to be right. That first pullback or the first flag is usually historically just a good. That's a hot little setup right there. That's something you tuck away in a longer term account or whatever it might be, and you go and have yourself a little fun, and you go and take it easy. Man, we're in it today, baby. We are in it today. Now, beyond that, we've got the SPY holding up here too. And if you notice here, we've got these kind of 3-day ranges. And I think this is going to be the key spot here. Do we go in, we take it out, or do we go and take it out, or do we do something else, right? And if we go and we take it out, then we've got to be yo ho 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 ho. Then we got to go and do what we got to do. So I like the overall look of this. You have a 3-day breakout in this SPY. You've got a 3-day breakout setting up in this QQQs, and you've got just a nice, easy, you got a nice, easy range to trade around. And that's all that's all we can do, baby. Right? That's all we can do. So I think we're just in awesome spots here. The market after that big kind of 2-day fugazi, I would say 3-day fugazi on the Fed, and then the inflation numbers kind of saved the day. We're back in action, baby. Like we're back in action, and we got ourselves right like a really nice. We got ourselves like a really, really nice. We got ourselves a nice. Man, that's we got ourselves a good location, right? And we got ourselves a little rest on some of these stocks. So I think maybe today's even the day for a little bit of Tesla. All right. Now, Tesla's been acting, a little bit choppy the last few days, but it's been a really, really good choppy. So, what I mean by that is that Tesla right now has been kind of building up. It's been building up a little bit of, it's been building up a little bit, and this is the kind of chop that you want. Like the price action has been very, very bullish while it's been pulling back. So if you notice on Tesla, one of the things it's been doing, and this is just a good price action, is like, pretty much every day it's breaking down. Every day it's been breaking down and breaking the lows and then getting bought up, right? And you get kind of all these chasers shorting the lows and trying to ORB it because they're not really reading it right, right? And then, you get a gap down again and you break the lows and right, you do a fake ORB, the sucker's ORB, right? Anybody tried to ORB that day, remember who the sucker is, right? And you breaking down those lows and then you're grinding it back. So the price action's telling us something here, right? And then yesterday we broke down the previous day's lows again. So we keep chopping through the range and then getting it bought up. And so we have multiple days of this happening here. And so keep an eye today. If we can dump off, right? Let's see if we can find a spot to maybe go in and pick this bad boy up, right? We can go in and pick this bad boy up and see what the heck we can do. I mean, we're gonna have ourselves a little pate. I think we're gonna have ourselves a little pate here. You know, man, and you can see like kind of all these kind of older these little techie spec names are all starting to kind of reform here. So let's take a look and see what kind of earnings are coming in today. Not earnings, it's not earnings season, but what kind of PRs are coming in. And then let's just take a look and see if we got any any little fun boys for today. So on these Christmas kind of holidays, Thanksgiving week, Christmas week, Martin Luther King week, Columbus week, Kwanzaa week, Yo Mama's week, on these little holiday weeks, what ends up happening is, it's like all these little turds start taking off as you have a majority of people, right, not trading. And so this is like the best time. This is when the pumpers really kind of flash their wieners a little bit and let the market know that they're around, because who else is trading these days except the degenerates? And so you're going to get really, all these kind of little guys they're in flavor on these type of days. Now, that's not my particular tea. I'm too old, too bald, too fat to be trading these. But the big hairy Indian butt of this is that this is where, you'll see a lot of action today. You'll get these names like Wiki and stuff that start to push through. So you can roll with all these. These are all the 2X ETS for AVGL. So you can see here, this is all just Bitcoin ETFs. Hey, MSTX is up a little bit. We'll take a look at MSTR in a hot second here. AMD. So these are all just large cap ETFs. Now this I'm into. This is a Bitcoin crypto stock that had the big flat top breakout, IPO breakout, and we pulled back into the bone zone and we've remounted the 9 EMA. That right there, guys, is a hot setup. First of all, that's a swing trade setup too, but that's a hot setup for something that has a little bit of legs to it. I'd actually come in and I'd add something like that. That might have a little bit of quesos, just a little bit of quesos here. I'd add that. Number two, this AVGO. Now look, the ATR and AVGO $17.53, right? So you're gapping up 9 points. So you got to probably let it pull back a little bit at the open. Yo, B Money, what up? You got to let it pull back a little bit at the open. You know, AVGL typically works really well on the first dip. You can ORB it and stuff like that. It's going to have some good range today. I just wouldn't chase this thing up 9 points at 4%. Let it pull a little bit at the open. You know, sometimes it'll just dump off even for 1 or 2 candles, and it'll grind into some EMAs, and then you'll see this thing ramp back. Overall, right, this is the, busting to the 250s the way it's acting. This is probably, right, one of the new kind of market leaders. It's the one that just recently had its earnings, recently broke out, and already pulled back and consolidated. This one right here is right up our alley. Let's add this to the watch list. Bum bum bum. NNE. This one's okay. I have this on the list because it's starting to come out of this range here. I have this on this list because it's coming out of range here. Let's roll in with this one too. Look at this. All these Bitcoin stocks are going. So before we even do this, let's take a look and see what IBIT's doing. So you can see here, Bitcoin's up 3.2% today after a little bit of an oversold pullback. It is looking like it's kind of resting right at the 50-day moving average on the daily charts. If you look at Bitcoin itself, hold on, let me get a chart up here. Motherfucker won't show. All right. No worries. But Bitcoin itself, I believe the 50-day moving average is at 93,000, and that's the spot right here basically on IBIT. So you're starting to hold here and ramp through. This may actually, in a holiday week, this is probably a good time to do these. So you've got yourself IBIT here. I'd roll in with some of these oversold Bitcoin stocks. Let's add in HUT to the watch list. It's sitting right on support. We've got BTDR. We can add in MSTR. It's sitting right on the 50-day moving average. And we got ourselves some Coinzilla. I think both of those got a good look to it. Evan, can I get that link? All right. See, this one's also sitting right on that. Ba-dum-bum-bum. I like it. What do you think? It's not you, Siri. Yeah, look at this thing. See how it's just kind of ripping and riding, slipping and sliding right on. Dude, so you got 3 days of grindage on the 50, right? You got 3 days of grindage on the 50. You're right on the 50 on the Hut Nation. So you got yourself some good locations here. Dude, I think this is maybe the play. You want to be bouncing these stocks that are running off the 50. When the market gets oversold, that's the easiest play. Like you go 640 down to 580, you've rotated down 60 points, right? That's an easy location right there. Let's roll with this. I'm into it. That's boner time right there. Oh, Sean J, what up, baby? How you doing? Cool. Let's add those. And we'll keep it real. We'll keep the watch list short today. You can see Irons on the 50. They're all a little bit oversold. The key on crypto stocks is always stay away from Mara because it's a slut. And then Riot too because it's a double. It's a double rundy. The rest of them are tradable. BTDR trades, the best on the smaller ones. And then, Coin and MSTR have the biggest range, but you end up having to do options on them because even the shares are the margin sucks on it. Cool. So we got those bad boys. Now let's talk just about the regular old watch list that I made last night for you guys. Hold on here. 1224. Let me get my TC 2000 watch list up. All right. I got a couple names here that I'm into. So let's dig into this here real quick. All right. Hey, so UMAC here had a little bit of a trendy McGee on it yesterday. I think this has probably got a chance. When you're into this kind of holiday weeks, usually it's these kind of turds that end up I like it. All right, let's add this I'm into. Look at this. This is RKLB. 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests of breakout. You're starting to really congeal this range, all right? This is the time and place to do this kind of stuff. Like, you still got the AI companies holding up. You got semiconductors holding up, right? Space. You got Bitcoin, right? Anything geeky has been in flavor of recent. What's more geeky than a little Rocket Labs? Keep it on the watch list. I like it. This I think this may wait till next week, but I'd keep an eye on this trigger right here. You've got a 4-day range sitting right at about 174. If it can take that out, then I think you start to release into this kind of 178, 179, right? Zone of love. But this is the first key. So I'd set an alert. Probably right about 172.50. It can get there in just one candle. Oftentimes when you look at a chart, you're like, fuck it. So far, it's 3-4 points away. It can get that 3-4 points in one candle. It's got a low enough float and enough range to do it, right? The ATR on it's $11. So you can go from here to breakout very, very quickly. I'd set an alert 172.50. If it doesn't kind of approach that level, it might just be dead and then you got to find other stuff. But if it starts to get there, then watch it and see how it kind of congeals before the 174 breakout, because that's where the fun will start. Now, I added this TPR on the watch list for a swing trade. It's already kind of busted through, but I keep an eye on this. If anybody's a little bit of a swinger, you got a good look on that one. AVGO we talked about. And this Lulu's another one that I got on watch for a potential swing. This might be one, you don't got really any liquidity in the calls, but it might be worth looking for a spot that maybe throw off like 10 contracts or something like that. Because if it starts to bust here back into the 420, 440, 450, you're going to really make some good chatter on this. Especially, right, like you're starting to kind of just digest here. So the volatility goes down. Those are usually like, if you're going to swing some calls, those are the best times to add them in, right? The volatility will just start to congeal. And so when you start to pop up even a little bit, like, dude, you end up with some huge shredders. And we've got ourselves a spot here, like a little bit, right? You can see here. So you got yourself a little bit of a little W starting to kind of form out here. I think, if you can start to kind of push over and hold over to say 385, 386, you're going to have yourself a little fun today. So, and I think this is more of a swing trade stock personally. It doesn't have the liquidity I personally need to day trade. Like, it's hard to ram, 1,000 shares of this or 30, 40 contracts of this or however you'd want to trade it. Like, you can't do that like you could on, some other names. You got to really trade this thing 100 shares, 200 shares. It just doesn't have the liquidity to get any more, get any more deep on it. Oh, shit. Now, this I like for today. I think this is a spot This may even be a little, if it can have say it just rests today. So you get an inside day on this today. If you get an inside day on this today, probably at the end of the day, it would set up, I think, for a little bit of a swinger. And man, you got yourself, dude, you got yourself a good location on this. If you look here on the hourly chart, right, this 208, it's a send off, right? And I guess you could say this or whatever, but I think you're clearing more spots here. Most breakouts have kind of couple multiple release points, right? It's more about a zone of love than anything. It's about a zone of love, a zone of passion, and you're starting to you're starting to get into this. So, on the day trade side, it'd be nice if it goes red to green because we'll just rip it for a couple points. If you're a swing trader, if this just rests today, say it just chops around today, that'll allow the EMAs to catch up here and really tighten this bad boy up so that you can push through like on a bigger multi-day, bigger multi-day basis. I like the overall look of it. I mean, that's probably, I think, top of the list. So the regurgitate, top of the list. This one on the red to green, AVGO on the first pull. I got this on first swing trade. The 240s on the January 3rds. They're doing okay. I could have probably went a little bit closer. When it was grinding over here, we had some good entries on it. Frankly, I would have thought these things would be up a little bit more, little bastards. I should have got a little bit closer. I think that this is going to have some legs, though. Kind of get into this. So I wanna roll. I want to roll on this thing. Bam. First pull. All right. TSM number 2. All right. At least on these big boys. Then what we want to be doing is we want to add these cryptos in. They're a little beaten down. They're a little bit ready to have some fun, right? We can go in and, we can come in hot on something like this. The Hut Nation's right on that 50-day moving average. Let's see how that first pullback works so we know that it's not a big fugazi. Because the one thing with these cryptos has been that, they've been just kind of, and they've been doing it even before this pull. They've been popping and dumping. If you see all the wicks on these candles, right, it's like there's been sellers there for quite some time. Even when Bitcoin was breaking out, you were starting to see, look at all the wicks here. You were starting to see some sellers here. So that does give me a little bit of, caution. I think Coin and MST are probably just the easiest locations. Now, the one thing with MSTR is, look, it's super hard to trade, right? Not only is it hard to trade, it's a little bit stressful. So, and it's a short day. So if you're one of those people that you kind of buy a stock and then it doesn't go your way and you fucking hold it the whole day, hoping it comes back, this is not a good name because it's only a half day. The other thing is it's just stress to trade. There's a spread. The margin stinks. At least on E-Trade, it stinks. And a lot of the other brokers I have, it stinks. So you end up having to do options on it because you just can't get the size. But you got the locations here. Look at this. If this coin starts to kind of push into this zone, then it's got a chance to get back into maybe 300, 315. That's where that's when you'll get back into the supply zone here. If you really think that probably its major supply zone is over here, so you got a little bit of room to get there before it's got to start to eat through there. When I say supply zone, right, there's obviously when you have a lot of chop in an area, you got to eat through there. So like you may test it and you eat some of the supply and you come back and you test it and you eat. And you got to eat a couple times before you get there. It's like an Indian guy at the Chinese buffet, right? We always get our money's worth. Anybody back in the day, you remember those $5 Chinese buffets? It's like my dad is, I don't know, maybe 150 pounds, 160 pounds. But that $4.99 Chinese buffet, like you'd have to kick him out, right? He'd be unbuttoning his pants, bring some of that Eno, and he'd just sit there, right? Like Shabba. He'd have two, 3 plates. And we're just kids, like, 8, 9 years old. He's like, come on. You got to get your money's worth. He's just force feeding us this food, right? Unbutton his pants a little bit. He'd bring some Eno. That's like the Indian Pepto Bismol, but it's like a powder. And he'd take that, put it in his water. Oof, right? You start to just percolate. Then you go back in for plate 4, plate 5, right? You got to get your money's worth. Then by the end, my dad did the calculation like, okay, if we had, 4 people, $5 a person, 20, but we got 26 plates, right? We got 25 plates. Like, okay, we're making good dollars per plate. And that's just a supply issue. And so you got to kind of come in and, kind of eat through some of this supply, and then you're going to be in for, then we'll see kind of what's up on this thing. I think MSTR's got a little less room before you get into supply. Well, I wouldn't say that, because you get till 370 on this bad boy before you start having to kind of make some decisions. So I like the overall look of it. It's looking buenos, dude. And that's the list. I'm sticking to it. Add in some spec. Add in some spec here on RKLB 2625. It's a good spot. All these, the quantum stocks kind of dumped off yesterday. They're still in support, but you can kind of see they're looking a little, you can't put my finger on, it's a little bit of a butterface, right? It looks good from afar till you get up close. And then all of a sudden you're like, this is, right, popping and dropping. So I think we'll watch these things. If they catch a bid, I'm always watching them, right? So if we catch a bid, I'll let everybody know. Like same thing with sound. Like it's from afar, like you're like, okay, good trend, all that fun stuff. From up close, it's a little bit of a butterface. So, what's it doing? It's there. Is it not there? It probably needs more consolidation, right? It's not as clean as when it just pulled back like right here. That's clean, right? Now you're kind of backing and filling some areas. So I'll keep an eye on these for a bid. If they just dump off here, say at 1950, then you can kind of leave them alone. But if you start to come out because you had a really tight range yesterday, and say you take off 21 or something like that, then I think you're in for a little bit of a better spot. BE looks okay. I think this is got all the volume accumulation, all the fun stuff that it needs. It just has got to kind of push out of here. And once it speeds up, I get more interested in it once it speeds up. You can start the kind of, if you're a swinger, you can kind of start pickling down here into the range and then anticipate the breakout. You add, say you wanted to get to 5,000 shares, you add in 2,000, kind of put a stop loss at the bottom of the range, and then you kind of build into it, because it's a little bit of a weird looking, it's there, but it needs to shift a little bit, right? Like you got to have your 9 EMA kind of curling up on it. You got to kind of shift this. You can see the bone zone is still red. So it's still got a little bit of work to do. It's got to kind of, I think once it gets closer to 26, your EMAs will start to flip over and it'll look a little bit better. So I don't mind the overall look. I think it just needs some work. I keep an eye on Asan here for anybody that's a swing trader too. This run here was on some pretty big volume on earnings. And right, this is kind of a beaten down name. And this setup has been working all year. So now you got yourself, right, a pullback from 28 down to 21, 60s. You got 3 days where it's just kind of hanging out in the bone zone. If you start to see this thing clear through, set an alert at, say, 22. Then you'll know there's like a little bit of a speed up. And then, dude, that may be it. Like if it can grind here and then push through, like remount this 9, that'll set up for a swing trade where you get a good RR back to 28. And this setup's been working like a charm. Like, this whole year, like, a stock that has earnings play, pulls back deep, that first pull typically gets bought up. You can see DocuS's kind of showing something similar. these stocks just suck the day trade. They've been lacking a little bit of liquidity, even though like this did 14 million shares right the other day. Didn't feel like it. Like they always trade a little bit thin, so they make an easier swinger, I think, than day trader. But you can see here, you got a breakout here. That's a damn good look right there. So there's a couple of these kind of names, right? Ulta's setting up here too, and the Lulus that are like setting up, and they just make better swing traders than day traders. When you're in day trading, you need that liquidity, right? You need that liquidity. You need that pop, to be able to get in and out. But for swing trading, like because you're holding longer, you don't need to fight for the last penny here, penny there. It doesn't really matter because you're holding for 20 points, 30 points. When you're holding for 30 cents, 50 cents, a dollar, then, the extra 3, 4 pennies matters quite a bit. So that's the list. I'm sticking to it. Am I missing anything? Good. All right, let's go do what we do, which is the do. Tobias, my friend, what's up? Merry Christmas and a happy new year. Good tidings. All right, my friends, let's go do it. Let's